1 year ago, the Northeast Championship was delivered west on the back of a black wagon from Utah. After 2 runner-up finishes in 2020, one of the old line's favorite son looks to gain a little revenge at this legendary Coliseum of Carnage. But can he survive this monster marathon against a prehistoric powerhouse? Coming up, the All-Stars get set for one more history-making battle. Getting set for night 2 here in the northwestern corner of the Northeast. Lake Erie Speedway in the little town of Northeast Pennsylvania. 6 big bad monster trucks and 6 of the toughest pro rough trucks on the circuit are ready to do battle right here on the tarmac as the fans pack in. I don't know if the video does it justice, but it is raining right now, and it is raining very, very hard. But that hasn't stopped the fans from coming out for this pit party. As you can see, the track is swamped, and that's leaving some questions in the air. What kind of action are we going to get tonight? What is the track going to be like when these trucks finally hit it? As I said, it's not stopping the fans from taking part in the festivities, as the Identity Theft Ride truck has been bringing load after load of fans up and around the backstretch here at Lake Erie Speedway. While we wait to find out if the rain's going to stop, we're going to take you back to last night and kind of explain to you how our 3-wide bracket will work when we get to that action later tonight as we take a look back at last night. There you see David, Too-Tall Holford in Jurassic Attack taking on Brandon Budd in Buckshot and Corey Snyder in Toxic. The first 3-wide matchup of the night. Too-Tall would take that victory. He automatically moves on to the final 3-wide race that will take place later that evening. The next 3-wide matchup, Tim Menti and Storm Damage would take an upset victory over his teammate, Tim Mecenas in Hurricane Force and Nate Kirchner in the Wrecking Machine. Menti would automatically go to the championship race. We needed one more truck for the championship. That meant the 4 losers would have to come back in our Tournament of Death. Brandon Budd and Buckshot dispatched Corey Snyder in Toxic. Tim Mecenas in Hurricane Force was supposed to battle Nate Kirchner. Kirchner had problems, so Brandon Budd would battle with Mecenas in the finals of our Tournament of Death. Brandon Budd would then take that 3rd and final spot in the final 3-wide matchup of the night, the racing championship right here last night at Lake Erie. We've been battling weather all weekend long. The infield was a little bit damp, not like it is tonight though, but these guys were able to get some horsepower to the ground. And Brandon Budd, by virtue of making it through the Tournament of Death, found himself in the winner's circle after a hard-fought evening of action. Our congratulations to him. The question, though, can he do it again? A whole nother night of racing is ahead. All 6 of our trucks are back and ready to go, which includes Corey Snyder in Toxic, who had some problems. So right now, we're going to wait out the rain. We're going to see how long this delay is going to be, and we're going to see, are we going to have a show that's swamped out on this infield, or is the sun going to finally show itself? Stay with us. We'll answer that question when we come back to Lake Erie.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by Monsters Monthly. For up-to-date show, ticket info, and a wide selection of photo and video galleries, visit monstersmonthly.com. And by Crush This. For an inside look at the world of monster trucks, check out Crush This, available on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube.
Hey, welcome to Wild Man Adventures. For the Silver Lake Sand Dragway. There really wasn't any off-roading back then. It was all off-road. We're on our way to Lima, Ohio. Got wooden wheels. Oh, it's slippery as all get out of. Hey, we're here with Rich Cummins. Hey, we're here with Mike Potter. Hey, we're here with Alan Pizzo. Gotta check it out. This week we're going to go down memory lane.
This Back Channel Productions program is brought to you in part by RPM Army, featuring action-packed content from around the web. Visit rpmarmy.com, your source for motorsports on the go.
Moments ago, the rain finally stopped. The sun started showing through the clouds, but the track has yet to dry out, and that's making things very interesting here as this speedway is starting to develop its own weather. You can see a little bit of steam coming off the top of this fresh asphalt. This is brand new asphalt, so it's very, very smooth. In fact, the track staff here at Lake Erie Speedway has asked the drivers not to do donuts down there as they're still trying to make sure that asphalt is cured. But you can see it's like looking down a slate countertop. It's super shiny, which means it's going to be super slick. We'll see, though. We are going to have an event. And the first guy up in our best trick competition, which will open things up here at Lake Erie Speedway, night number 2, Tim Menti in Storm Damage, who, as we showed you, pulled off an awesome win in the second 3-wide matchup of last night's action, but he fell short in the freestyle when he had front steering issues. So we'll see if he got all those issues worked out on the Storm Damage Chevrolet, that beautiful 77 style square body. Might have wanted a little more out of that first hit. We'll see what the second is. Not bad, but I don't think he's getting quite the traction he was hoping for. Again, you can see it's very slick out here, and as the dirt starts to come off of these jumps, as they hit more and more of the obstacles here tonight, it's going to make it even slicker. And remember, we also have championship rough truck racing that's going to take even more dirt and throw it into the water. We're going to have a bit of a muddy mess here on this new asphalt. A score of 3 for Tim Menti in Storm Damage. Up next, Opie, Nate Kirshner, and Wrecking Machine, the Cobblestone Hotel and Suites Chevrolet. You can see the steam, the smoke coming off the tires as he burns them up on this wet asphalt. A strong hit right there. We'll see, though, what this KCM chassis can do underneath of him. Kirshner subbing for Hunter Souza and doing a nice job. That should take the lead here in the best trick competition. Kirshner with a score of 4. Wrecking Machine by 1 point, going to the top of the heap. We're moving right through action, though. Brandon Budd, Buckshot, awaiting the go-ahead. Bud adding Lexan to his side windows. He said it's really helped keep some of the weather out of the inside of the truck. Normally, the inside of these trucks will get soaked in mud and gunk and anything else they pick up. Not so for Bud as he makes a very strong move right there as they go on board. Whiskey bent and hellbound, it says on the side of the helmet. Those Zoomies making some thunder around the speedway here this evening. As the sun sets over the lake, Brandon Budd looking to one-up Nate Kirshner here in the best trick competition. Going for the donuts. Smoke rolling off of the tires as he gets into cyclone territory, heating them up. Very fitting as he heads back around turn number 1 there toward the pit area. Look at the smoke rolling off the tires. That had to have taken the lead, trying to beat a 4 right now, and he does so. A score of 7 for Brandon Budd in Buckshot. He knew he had to do something because the man who's coming up behind him was your best trick winner from last night. That'll be Corey Snyder in Toxic 2.0. But you can see this Eddie chassis. The overtime shocks, the big buff down Firestones, shaved side tread. They're doing their job. He puts that big John Gulick motor to work. Now, the Metal Shop chassis with the Metal Shop motor in the back. The big Ford Super Duty out of Frederick, Maryland. Here comes Corey Snyder and the Safford-sponsored Toxic 2.0. Awesome hit for Snyder right there. Something a little bit different as he gets some big hang time off of one of our freestyle obstacles. We'll be going on board with Snyder later in freestyle competition. Right now, though, laying down some cyclones as he drifted into the infield. They shut him off. Another look at that huge leap. He took over the van stack. And then he also smokes these nearly completely bald China tires down here on the top part of the infield. Turn number 1, a score of 8. He will take the lead, and I think it's that big air that pushed him over the top. He would have been in cyclone territory had he not been shut off, but he was starting to drift over toward the ride truck. Stacy Jensen did not want Corey Snyder tangling up with his wheels now. Tim Masinis mulling in the 68 Ford bodied Eddie Chassis Hurricane Force out of Hagerstown, Maryland. Masinis out of Lafayette, Indiana. He's driven quite a few machines, some of the best and the worst in the industry. I'm not going to say who the latter was, but he has driven Bigfoot. He's driven for Jerry Beck. He started under the tutelage of Tom Metz. So this guy definitely knows what it takes to get the job done. See what Masinis can do. Smoking the tires a little bit there. He started to drift down into that freestyle monster. Not done yet. Nicely done for Masinis and Hurricane Force. Not going to take the lead, but a strong showing as they worked all night and all morning to get that truck back on the track. If you watched our last night's coverage from here in Lake Erie, you'll know he not only locked up a planetary, but several other parts of that drivetrain. They had to drag the truck with literally all 4 wheels locked up off the pavement as we get ready for our final competitor right here. This will be Too Tall David Holford in Jurassic Attack, last night's overall champion. He did manage with a higher freestyle score than Brandon Budd, who he tied with for the overall score. Jurassic Attack did take the overall spot for the event last night as he starts off strong here with that prehistoric powerhouse out of Utah. Took an overall championship here last year at the wheel of this truck, but with the wrecking machine body on it. And Too Tall goes drifting across the infield, smoking up the tires. We want to, again, thank David Trevino for those onboards, getting us right in the action. I don't know if that right there is going to take over the lead. The fans liked it, but did he do enough to please our professional judges up in the booth? The score to beat is an 8. That was laid down by Corey Snyder in Toxic. The Maryland Ford looking to stave off this Utah base machine. The Jurassic Attack, that prehistoric powerhouse, as I said, representing Marquette Savings Bank, only scoring a 7. Not going to do it.
Corey Snyder last night. First of all, super handsome, but man, the weather has done something with our hair this afternoon, right? Welcome back to Victory Lane. Best trick competition is all yours, just like it was last night, but we still have monster truck racing. Record-breaking, history-making, 3-wide monster truck racing. How cool is that?
Oh, that's awesome, man. I just had fun just then. I'm getting more and more used to this truck. Like you said earlier, this is a new truck that I'm kind of getting used to, working out all the bugs. Yesterday we had some problems with the motor, but we seem to have gotten it dialed in. And just had a little fun, got a little lost in the sauce, and dipped towards the ride truck, and they shut me off. Well, you know, that's kind of what happens. But like you said, for racing, I'm really excited about that. I kind of got cut short with some issues yesterday. We'll be able to kind of redeem myself, get higher up in the racing bracket. Like you said, we got 3-wide racing. Hasn't been done since like the 80s. Again, we got a lot of cool things in store. Just strap in, folks. You're in for a good one.
There you go. Make some noise.
Corey Snyder in Toxic, getting the fans on their feet, starting things off on the right foot. Could he take his first overall championship here at Lake Erie Speedway? We will find out. The All-Star Monster Truck Tour coming back at you. As I said, Pro Rough Trucks on their way. Plus, our first 3-wide race of the night is coming up when we come back to Lake Erie Speedway. Welcome back to Lake Erie Speedway in the little town of Northeast Pennsylvania. As you've been seeing, it's very, very wet out here at center track. Like I said earlier, it's like driving on a slate countertop as we get a look at some 700 to 800 horsepower engines now and some very lightweight vehicles. Our pro rough trucks taken to the track for a qualifying session. First out will be Scott Martin out of Owego, New York, in the Martin towing F-150 called Haulin' Ass, and you see how much water he's kicking up. Slipping and sliding around, using those cutting brakes to make his way around the final corner and down the final stretch. They've added some elevation to these ramps tonight. He will set the baseline at a 24.98-second run, just about at the 25-second mark. They've slowed down a bit since last night. There's more hang time in the track, but again, the water can't be helping things. They're trying, though. We should be in for some good racing here tonight. These trucks all pretty even, all out of the Team Foytoy camp from the New York-Pennsylvania state line. Jimmer Martin now in Bad Intentions, the bad black and red Bronco, also out of Owego, New York. Making his way around a little bit of trouble right there into the first turn. Going way high, almost up into the wall. Not the turn he was looking for. The truck pushing quite a bit. Nice launch at the end. If you're not going to get the top time, give him a show. 29.05. I'll tell you right now, Martin probably going to be off the pace as of right now, but we'll see what happens when we get back into action. We've seen a bunch of Broncos. Don't let this one fool you. It looks like a long wheelbase Bronco. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this thing as the night goes on, but suffice it to say, there is a Jeep in this field as well with a Bronco chassis. This is a Bronco with a Jeep chassis driven by Michael Loopy out of Appalachian, New York. The War Horse cutting through the water down on the low side. Just about 800 horsepower pushing this machine down the track. And a huge launch over the final jump. A 23.25, but he's got problems. The drive shaft is hanging down underneath. Doing some damage to the War Horse. Your winner from last night's Pro Rough Truck Championship event, knocked out the team leader, the Godfather, Jake Nichols, in the white Bronco called Foytoy, who we'll be seeing a little bit later in the qualifying session. Right there, though, on the throttle when he landed on the front wheels, ripped the drive shaft right out. Up next out of Vestal, New York, this is Paul Hackl in the Swamp Donkey. As I said, this is a Jeep with a Bronco chassis underneath. Right in line with the rest of the field. You've been seeing a very competitive group of trucks. Solid run for Hackl right there at a 22.92 to take the #1 spot. Paul Hackl in the Swamp Donkey laying it down, and he knew he was going to have to as Gene Jensen is over there right now talking to Scott Martin and Mike Loopold about what they're going to do when we get into bracket racing with these tough trucks. The question is Loopy going to be back in the War Horse as Swamp Donkey launched that Ford-powered Jeep over the finish line now. A guy with a brand new engine in the front of his Bronco, Jake Nichols, the Godfather in the Foytoy out of Little Meadows, Pennsylvania. This guy has been doing this for a long, long time. Huge launch across the finish line. Not going to get the #1 spot, but a 23.48, not a bad time. Got the track felt out. We'll see how he does when he comes back now. Here comes Brett Sponenberg out of Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania. Any monster truck, tough truck fans know the town of Bloomsburg. Well, that's Brett's hometown, second-generation driver. His father, Super Bob, the late Super Bob. Always great to see the Sponenberg family out at the racetrack. This is Beer Money out of Bloomsburg. We'll see what Brett can do in the big blue Bronco. Making a good run right here. A beautiful final turn. Gets it straightened up a little bit wild. This has become his trademark over the years, and a nice jump at the end. He nets a time of 23:39, so Sponenberg not on top of the field will land out a good run that'll set our bracket as we get going into rough trucks racing in just a little bit. Here's a look at our monster truck lineup as we explained the bracket earlier in the show. You'll understand we have 2 sets of 3 here in round number 1. The winner of each of those set of 3 will go to the final round. You see all the way at the end of the bracket, the stack of 3 there. The losers, the 2 losers from each of those 3 wide runs will go into our tournament of death. That's the 4-truck bracket right in the middle of that ladder you see right there. Kind of unpack that as we go. Our first matchup, of course, Hurricane Force, Jurassic Attack, and Toxic 2.0. Then we'll see Storm Damage, Buckshot, and Wrecking Machine. So a little bit of a mix-up in the triplets, I guess we'll call them. They're not pairings, but a little bit of change-up from last night's first-round pairings.
The winner of 3 wide races goes into the finals. We're going to have 2 heats of 3 wide racing coming at you right now. This is your...
Well, these guys are chomping at the bit to put that big horsepower to the track. The disadvantage in this group of 3, though, even though he's probably got the biggest engine and most horsepower of this group of 3, Corey Snyder with those bald tires on this wet track, probably going to be at a disadvantage. We'll have to wait and see. Stranger things have happened as he goes side by side by side with David Tuttle Holford in Jurassic Attack and Tim Misenis in Hurricane Force, driving for Tim Menti, subbing for Stephen Thompson, who usually drives that big purple 68 Ford out of the state of Maryland, Hagerstown, Maryland. Misenis out of the Hoosier State. Doing a nice job here this weekend. Always one of those great hired guns in the sport. He's certainly done his time behind the wheel now as we get ready for our first 3-wide race of the night. Toxic, Jurassic Attack, and Hurricane Force. Huge launch and a hard landing for both Snyder and Tuttle at the end. Misenis got left at the line. A lot of smoke out of that truck. Not sure what's causing that. Hopefully, he'll be able to get that thing back into the tournament of death and take his shot at getting into the championship. He's not out of this thing yet, but we're going to take another look at the race you just saw. Watch the 2 trucks nearest the camera. Again, a lot of smoke out from underneath Hurricane Force as he was left behind, but watch. Both of them nose down. Watch Snyder's landing and the rebound right there. A wild landing in the shutdown area. Well-built truck, though, soaked it up. Once he got it on the ground, he was able to get back under control as we go on board with Tuttle. You can see that mud kicked up on the lens of that GoPro right there. Again, thanks to David Trevino for taking care of that angle for us, but this is probably a less than ideal track right now. They definitely were able to get some horsepower to it. That was a fast race regardless of how slick it was out there, but didn't really get a good look at how much the trucks were moving around in the lanes. We might get a look at that in a little bit. There you see Brandon Budd in Buckshot, last night's racing winner. Had to make his way into the championship race through the tournament of death. He'd like to avoid that at all costs, putting that many runs on that motor. This is a tough way to go, but it really does challenge these guys to make it into that final round. There's no freebies here in Lake Erie. He takes on, to his right, your left, Nate Kirchner in Wrecking Machine. And on the other side, the guy who took an upset win in round number 1, Tim Menti in Storm Damage. Brandon Budd and Buckshot does indeed avoid having to go through the tournament of death as he heads on to the final round. Kirchner taking a wild ride in Wrecking Machine. They lost the sponsor panel off the cradle on the landing. I think this upper lane may not be the place to be. There you see Mullet headed out to the front stretch area. It looks like he's going to pick that up and take it back to the pits. That's nice of him. So we get the trucks parked and set for the tournament of death. The guys who are going to have to come back, our 2 winners, Buckshot and Jurassic Attack, will get ready for a championship race. They'll get to sit and watch the track develop throughout the night. But you can see Kirchner hung right in there with him. Not the problems that he had last night, but Even through the window there, you can see the sponsor panel coming off the right-hand side of the chassis. Watch again. Menti, by the way, did not get left at the starting line, but it looks like the center lane is going to be the place to be tonight. Kirchner, Opie taking a wild ride there in that upper lane. We're not done yet, though. More rough trucks and more monster trucks coming at you when we come back to Lake Erie Speedway. Hanging in there here at Northeast Pennsylvania's Lake Erie Speedway as we get ready for round number 1 of Pro Rough Trucks. The track's still not drying out. A lot of humidity in the air. Here you see our pairings. Jimmer Martin taking on Paul Hackl. It'll be Bad Intentions and Swamp Donkey. Then Jake Nichols in the Foy Toy taking on one of the clones to his truck, that being Brett Sponenberg in Beer Money. And Scott Martin will get a bye run. Unfortunately, Loopy in the Warhorse. Too much damage after he tore a drive shaft in the qualifying session. Warhorse will not be back here in round number 1 or for the rest of the weekend. Though, we are on the line with Paul Hackl to the left of your screen in the right lane, the upper side. He takes on Jimmer Martin, who ran the upper lane in qualifying. We'll have to see if Jimmer can do better down there in the low lane. Paul Hackl, your number 1 qualifier in the Swamp Donkey. Can he keep the fast runs coming? Jimmer once again pushing wide, not getting the performance he was hoping for out of that truck. We've seen this guy win races in the past. He's definitely not slow, but he seems to be struggling here on this wet asphalt as Paul Hackl. Wild landing right there. Coming across the finish line. Jimmer Martin just now making his way across, and he flies it just like we knew he would. Putting about 700 plus horsepower into the track. Didn't waste the run, didn't get the win, but he definitely put on a show for the crowd. Here comes the ultimate flyer, Jake Nichols, longtime veteran of the sport of rough truck racing, the godfather in the Foy Toy, up against Beer Money. If you're wondering about the name Foy Toy, one of his original trucks was a Ford-powered Toyota. It's named Foy Toy. Nichols and Sponenberg, again, very similar, not exactly identical trucks, maybe a little bit of difference in the horsepower department, but not much. They're about as close to identical as you're going to get. And 2 of the most daring drivers on the circuit. Beautiful pair of turns. Nichols, though, with the better drive. And Sponenberg come back in the final leg. He's trying, but he goes too wide. Nichols just has to hang on and make a legal run. He does so, and look at the hang time. Does a little slap wheelie in the shutdown area. Brett Sponenberg, though, will be back, as we have to draw a fast loser out of this round. He was the fastest to lose. We don't have another truck in this run right here. This will not be a pairing. Scott Martin just has to make a legal bye run to advance into our next round. If he can't, Jimmer Martin may get another chance, but that's not the way he would like to move on in action. Scott Martin going to take advantage of this run, this lone run, and feel out the course in hauling ass out of Owego, New York. Looking good right there. Really able to push the truck through the corner. Doesn't overdrive the last jump. That's the heaviest of the Foy Toy vehicles. It's got a Craftsman Truck Series body, Craftsman Truck Series cage in it, big F-Series chassis underneath. So we have our semi-final round set. Paul Hackl and Swamp Donkey takes on Jake Nichols. Those are your 2 winners out of round number 1. And then your fast loser, Brett Sponenberg, matches up with the guy who just made the bye run, that being Scott Martin. in hauling ass, so that'll be beer money up against Martin in the semifinals. Now on to our tournament of death. It's a 4-truck bracket, but it's not our semifinal. Hurricane Force taking on Toxic 2.0. That'll be Tim Messenes, Mullet. In the truck out of Maryland, the driver out of the Hoosier State taking on another truck out of the state of Maryland, Corey Snyder in Toxic 2.0. Then it's Tim Menti in Storm Damage, who was your surprise winner out of round 1 last night, but laying down a shot. We'll see if he can do it again here in the Tournament of Death. He'll take on Nate Kirchner in the Wrecking Machine out of Utah. Snyder coming to the line and ran over one of the turn markers right there, those big Ute tires. Fortunately, he doesn't have to worry about that because we're not doing a turn course here this year as he takes on the smoking Hurricane Force. Unfortunately, this truck is looking a little bit ill right now. Not sure if it's hurting his horsepower or if he's having an oil pressure issue or what, but the truck does not look 100% healthy right now. He's still getting down the track, but keep in mind, they stayed up all night, worked all morning into the afternoon to even get that truck back on the track. Toxic, they had to work all night to get a new mag put in that truck. That's what stopped him at the end of his freestyle run last night. We'll see which truck from the state of Maryland will move into the finals of our Tournament of Death. And Mullet leaves Snyder at the line. But they were side by side at the finish. And Chuck Plumley just said Corey Snyder in Toxic is going to pick up that victory. I don't know that either of those drivers will necessarily agree with that. They look like a dead heat, but it's tough to tell from this angle. Messenes got to the jump first, but the drive wasn't there. Snyder apparently got him by a couple of inches, maybe 6 inches at the finish line. A very, very close matchup between that pair of Ford-bodied machines as our next pairing comes along. A pair of Chevy-bodied machines. Nate Kirchner driving the Utah-based Wrecking Machine, the KCM chassis, up against the 77 square body style painted by Trey Myers, the J&B chassis over there on the left side of the track, your screen right. That being Tim Menti in Storm Damage, one of the great competitive veterans in this industry. What can he do here? He was right with Kirchner, but I don't think that low lane is going to be the place to be. This upper lane is really throwing these guys at the finish line a lot of hang time. The middle lane seems just about perfect in spite of all the water on the track, but that bottom lane just does not seem to allow you to put the horsepower to the ground. There's a lot of standing water there. They work to try to push it off, but I'm not sure they were able to get it exactly the way they wanted, so Kirchner will come immediately back. That engine got to be getting a little hot. He'll take on Corey Snyder in Toxic 2.0, who's been battling some engine problems this year. A new engine program put together by the Metal Shop, trying to get it just perfect. These guys trying to prove that they build some of the best engines in the industry. This truck, though, when he is able to get the horsepower to stick, it is almost unstoppable. Wrecking Machine and Toxic 2.0, the finals of our Tournament of Death. And again, a wild ride that upper lane. But Toxic 2.0 will move on to our 3-wide championship. Corey Snyder back in. Toxic 2.0, he had to work his way through to get there. And keep in mind, Brandon Budd worked his way through that Tournament of Death last night and won the whole thing. You can see again, watch Kirchner. And again, I think that center lane is the place to be. Kirchner, another nose-down landing out of this upper lane, and that's exactly what happened to both him and Snyder in our 3-wide round number 1. Now we're back to semifinals of pro rough trucks. You see the sun setting on top of the lake over there. It's really putting a glare into our end zone camera, but may serve to help dry out this track a little bit. I don't know how much it's going to come around as Paul Hackl in the Swamp Donkey, that black Jeep in the upper lane, battles like Godfather, Jake Nichols, and Foy Toy on the low side. Beautiful pair of turns right there. Who has a drive coming back? Nichols losing a little bit of time going through that standing water, but he maintains the lead. They're right there together, coming back. back, but Nichols straightens out quicker, and with a big flight, Paul Hackl getting some air coming across the finish line. Foy Toy and the Swamp Donkey battling for that first spot in our Pro Rough Trucks Championship. It'll go to Jake Nichols out of Little Meadows, Pennsylvania, the Godfather, moving into his second final round of the weekend. We'll see if he can pick up a win. He was knocked out in the final round by Loopy, his teammate in the Warhorse, who unfortunately, as you saw earlier, broke a drive shaft. He wasn't able to get back in it. Now, Brett Sponenberg in beer money is going to go side by side with Scott Martin in Holland-Ass, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, represented in the blue Bronco down in the low lane, the blue F-150 out of Owego, New York. As I said before, the heaviest of this group of 6 here this weekend. But Martin's certainly not lacking for horsepower. He's talked about building a new truck in the near future. He just hasn't had a reason to just yet. Still been very competitive on this circuit. And problems for Martin right there, just as I say how competitive he's been. He stalls the truck in the corner, had to refire it and get back underway. Sponenberg, if he can keep the truck on the track, should have no problems. A little slow in that corner. Something doesn't sound just right in that truck either, so we'll see. Is Martin going to come back? Sponenberg gets the victory, but there is a problem with beer money. We're going to have to wait and see what our final round pairing is going to be. As of right now, it should be Foy Toy and beer money. Jake Nichols and Brett Sponenberg. As our crowd looks on here at Lake Erie Speedway, we get ready. Boy, look, the muddy cam is sinking on that ramp right there. That is the center lane finish line jump for the monster trucks. That thing hasn't gotten hit tonight yet. It's just that soft. The topsoil is just that soft on that finish line jump. The thing is just sinking on its own. And a beautiful sunset backdrop for this 3-wide racing championship as that sun finally went behind that tree line. That'll be the backdrop for this final 3-wide run of the night. Corey Snyder in Toxic, sitting on top of the final 3-wide bracket there. He had to work his way through the Tournament of Death. He got knocked out by Jurassic Attack Too Tall automatically. With that victory going on to this 3-wide race, he'll run out of the center lane. Brandon Budd in Buckshot, he had to work his way through the Tournament of Death last night, but he was your racing champion. Can he do it again? Can he sweep both races here at Lake Erie Speedway? And of course, as I mentioned, Toxic 2.0, you see right there, he had to fight his way through the Tournament of Death on this night. Can he, like Brandon Budd, come through the Tournament of Death and take the night number 2 racing championship? Only time will tell. There you see Brandon Budd in Buckshot heading over to, I believe, the left-hand side of the track. Your screen right. Corey Snyder gonna run out of this top lane. Right down center, that is David Too Tall Holford out of Staten, Oregon, driving the big Triceratops, that prehistoric powerhouse Jurassic Attack out of Utah, part of Team Throttle Monster, bringing that namesake back with the beautiful new graphics on it. That is a fan favorite wherever it goes. Toxic 2.0 in the upper lane. Stacy Jensen has him staged. It's the finals at Lake Erie. And Too Tall takes the night number 2 racing victory. It was a close one. I think Brandon Budd did better in that low lane than anybody's done tonight. But I've been saying the center lane was the place to be, and it looks like that proved out as Too Tall takes it all here at Lake Erie Speedway. And that may put him in the upper part of our overall points. We'll take a look at those here in a little bit. Too Tall celebrating on the fence with it. Smoking the tires, getting them ready for freestyle. He'll come up here in front of the fans and talk to Chuck Plumley here in just a minute, but we're going to take another look at the run that these guys just laid down. All of them came off the starting line pretty well. They're all about even. You got to tip your hat to Corey Snyder working through again. Very slick conditions on bald tires. He was last to the final jump. And as I said, Brandon Budd probably got the best out of that low lane than anybody's gotten all night long. Get another look at it from this end zone, and you'll see how much, look at how much Budd moved around in spite of that. Boy, it's a good thing that Holford got a leg out on him. He wisely, though, backed out of the throttle so as not to have any contact there with Holford as we go on board Jurassic Attack for his winning run. Too Tall taking the win at Lake Erie Speedway.
Here with the All-Star Monster Truck Tour, the Dinosaur back in victory lane. That's yours. 3 wide, history being made with one of the coolest monster trucks on tour. You're a racing winner.
Absolutely, you know, we're out just here having a great time. You know, 3 wide, we're making history, like you guys said. It's been almost 30 years since anybody's raced 3 wide with monster trucks, and we're happy to do it here in Pennsylvania. I mean, look at all you people coming out, spend your hard-earned money to spend it with us on Saturday night. So thank you.
Very grateful driver. He's had to work his way through this industry to get that seat, and he's been making good at the wheel of some of the coolest trucks in this business. We're not done yet, though. Too Tall or Toxic 2.0. Freestyle's yet to come. Who will come out with the overall? Stay with us. These fans having a great time here with the All-Star Monster Truck Tour at Lake Erie Speedway in the town of Northeast Pennsylvania. Before we get to Monster Truck Freestyle, we have another score to settle. Our Pro Rough Trucks Championship, and you are seeing a different truck in this lane. There you see Jimmer Martin's bad intentions, but it is the man who was supposed to be behind the wheel in this round, Brett Sponenberg. Beer money broke after the semifinal round, so Jimmer led Sponenberg his truck. He's going to go toe-to-toe right now with the Godfather, Jake Nichols in Foy Toy. And a delayed start for Sponenberg. Not sure what happened, but it looks like if Nichols can hang in there, he's going to have an easy pass here in the final round. Attrition playing a major factor here in our Pro Rough Trucks all night long, and a little bit of a messy turn there for Nichols, but getting the job done in a massive launch, as is his trademark in the Foy Toy. Brett Sponenberg, not wanting to beat up Jimmer's truck too bad, but he did make the run at the end. There you see Jake Nichols burning up the pavement, trying his hand at the Cyclones. Take another look at this final round run for Jake Nichols in the Foy Toy, way out in front. As I said, the trademark big air launch over the finish line. Look at the suspension, soak it up. Those king shocks, the coilovers going to work. Now we take a look at our monster truck points before we go into freestyle. And sitting on top of it all currently is David Holford in Jurassic Attack with 27 points. He's followed closely behind by Toxic, Buckshot, Wrecking Machine. Then you see it's Hurricane Force and Storm Damage rounding out the field. But you see just how close those top 3 are. Any one of those guys definitely has a shot to take the overall, but nobody is out of the conversation just yet, because we've seen in the past a bad freestyle run, even if you're on top of the field, can cost you the overall for the night as Tim Menti rolls out to warm things up in Storm Damage. We'll see, though. Menti's had some surprises this weekend, but he's been battling some breakage. He may just come out here and throw down a consistent run, set the baseline for these guys. May just try to feel out the track. Let these guys see what they're in for here tonight. Again, not a perfect track. Hopefully he got the steering issues fixed. He was one of 2 guys who had some major steering problems here last night, the other being Nate Kirchner and Wrecking Machine. Menti not doing too bad here in the 77 Chevy bodied machine. As I said, Trey Myers painted that one. Trey, one of the great artists in the business for many, many years, drove the Iron Warrior monster truck, a couple chassis under him, driving that name with Mike Bothers Sr. as his teammate for many, many years now. Trey, again, known as one of the best body men in the business. Not only did he paint that truck, he did the mold for that square body, did the new mold for that 77, that round light hood. It looks awesome, and Menti laying down a shot here again. Not a bad run. Menti not doing a bad job at all. Again, if he's not spectacular, he'll be consistent. We've seen him be spectacular in the past, so make no mistake. Throws it into the donuts over there in turn number 1. Doing a nice job. Looks like he's going to wrap the run up right there. And I know he wants to lay down a spectacular ride, but I, for one, am glad to see that body not hit the ground. See what the score is. Menti with a 15 to open things up. Not a bad run at all. These guys are still going to have to put plenty of moves on the clock to get past that. So Menti could feasibly keep himself about mid-pack in freestyle with that run if everybody else is able to come out and do what they do. If someone has problems, though, Menti may jet to the top of the heap. We'll wait and see, though. This has been a weekend of attrition, not only because of the weather, but because of how much some of these trucks have had to run through the race bracket. Here comes Opie, Nate Kirchner, the Layton, Utah-based wrecking machine, sponsored this weekend by Cobblestone Hotel and Suites. Taking care of the all-star monster truck crew, hooked us up with some awesome rooms as Kirchner goes after some big hang time to open things up. Nice shot right there. As I mentioned, he was one of the 2 trucks yesterday that had some serious issues with the steering. Of course, Menti having issues with the front steering, Kirchner having issues with the rear steering. Looks like they've gotten those fixed. He's laying down a shot right here in the big black wrecking machine, trying to uphold the name that won this competition here last year. Different driver, different chassis, but the fans do expect quite a bit out of this namesake, and he's trying to lay one down for him right here. And a little cattywampus there on the tough truck obstacles. Grabbing down through here, and it looks like he's in trouble again, and he has snapped the steering ram clean off on one side. It's hanging there. You can see it moving around. Very wisely going to throw it into a tire smoking donut. There's not much he can do as the steering is locked hard to one side, and that's going to be the end of it. Unfortunately, he still had a good run in spite of that problem, but the steering issues came back to haunt him right there. The Cobblestone Hotel and Suites wrecking machine out of the state of Utah, being driven by Nate Kirchner. And one more look at these, as I said, these tire smoking donuts. They look awesome. You see the smoke just rolling around the treads right there. Score of 18, not bad. He will take the lead. But again, you can see that steering ram actually hanging off the center of the housing. Moves around when he gets on the brakes. As Brandon Budd gets ready to bring up Buckshot out of Culpeper, Virginia, the Old Dominion bow tie. Ready to hit the track as we're on board with him. Again, I mentioned the Lexan side windows. He doesn't worry as much about the mud kicking up, the water and everything getting in there. I climbed up in there earlier today, and that truck really, you don't really feel just how humid it is out here. It really does keep the moisture out. Definitely helps with not only the driver's comfort, but the instrumentation in there, keeping the rain and everything off of the electronics in the cockpit. Brandon Budd, though, getting after with some big air right there in Buckshot. Put that John Gulick horsepower to work. Trying to go for a slap wheel, it looked like right there, and I think the track may just be too slick. We know that you can get slap wheelies off of this speedway. We've seen it done here plenty of times in the past, and Bud, he's been able to get some awesome slap wheelies in this machine, set his shocks up a little bit differently for freestyle than he did for racing as he goes nose down right there off of that what's supposed to be a popper ramp, although it's kind of gone away here in the competition because of all the rain and mud's getting real soft, but ramp's holding together there. You got to give our track crew props. Did he get it right here? No. And that water on those back tires could not get the horsepower to stick. Getting some nice sky wheelies out of it, though. Nice hit right there for Brandon Button. You can see how well strapped in he is, how well the shocks soak up everything he throws at it. He's barely moving around inside the cab of the Buckshot Chevrolet body machine out of Culpeper, Virginia. Oh, he was going to try for it again, but the rear end starting to walk away on him right there. That could have gotten very interesting as he straddles our muddy cam right there. Appreciate him not running over that. I don't think he would hurt it, but we really don't want to have to go and dig that thing out of the ramp later. Whipping up some cyclones right there on the front stretch, right near the finish line. Brandon, Bud, and Buckshot smoking those big firestones here at Lake Erie Speedway. Laid down a solid run, take nothing away from him, even though he struggled to get it into a slap wheel, and you could tell that's absolutely what he was going for. It's just so wet here. Again, though, the suspension doing its job, soaking up these hard landings from these big launches. And as I said, he went over between racing and freestyle and adjusted his shocks. There you see a score of 23, Buckshot. Not a bad run at all for Brandon Bud. Couldn't get that slap wheelie he wanted, but a good run nonetheless. Here comes Toxic 2.0, Corey Snyder out of Frederick, Maryland. Ready to have at it right here. Again, the bald tires end up helping him here. Trademark deafening of the video crew, and off he goes. Taken a few events, but Snyder really seems to be getting more and more comfortable with this new truck. He had such a good flow in the old Toxic, the old Patrick chassis. They've still got that truck. It's still ready to go when they need it as we go on board with him right here. Look like he was going for a slap wheel. He couldn't get it to materialize. These obstacles here are very boxy, so you kind of have to clear them to try to set the front end down. You can see the sheen on the bald strip down the middle of those tires and let you know just how wet it still is out here on this track. The air is still cool though, so these guys are making big time horsepower as he goes for some hang time there. Corey Snyder in the Safford Toxic 2.0 Super Duty. Corey out of Frederick, Maryland, laying one down right here with a massive hang time off of what was supposed to be a popper ramp. I cannot believe no one has hit that camera tonight. That thing is not quite centered up perfectly on that ramp. And last night we had a couple guys kind of press it down into the dirt. Big hit right there. And you gotta love those new planetary lights that they've got on that truck. Another nice hit headed over into turn number 1. But just more lights add to the aesthetic of this truck, as Father Jay in the event lighting industry as is his specialty. So always adding to the nighttime aesthetic of Toxic 2.0, getting some big hang time in the suspension, just soaking it up. There's a slap wheelie. That's what Brandon Button wanted. He didn't get it. Corey went and took the move from him. I don't know if Brandon's still back in his trailer right now or if he just saw that, but that's going to hurt a little bit. See what Snyder has left. Burning those China tires up just a little bit more than they already are, and you saw that wheel light go flying down the track there, rolling away. May need a little bit stronger magnet to hold those to those planetary caps, but take nothing away from Snyder. Other guys lose fiberglass. He has lights bouncing across the track. And I'm going to guess that's going to put him into the lead. He's had some amazing freestyles here at Lake Erie Speedway, but that's got to sit atop them all as he put that new metal shop truck into low orbit. The Safford Toxic 2.0. Here's a look at exactly that. Off the backside of the popper ramp. And then that obstacle right there was not slated to be big air. That's just another kind of a popper obstacle, a wheelie obstacle, whatever you want to use it for. Well, that ramp is steep enough. If you hit it right, you can go flying off into turn number 1, as you saw. And then trying to get into cyclone territory, it's a little bit hard to do that on the banking. And then you see that red light go bouncing off. A score of 27. Corey Snyder, Toxic 2.0, launching into the lead. Here comes Mullet, Tim Mazenis out of Lafayette, Indiana, driving the Maryland-based Hurricane Force. Now, he went for a slap wheelie last night. He got it, but he broke a planetary and a few other things. And as I've mentioned a few times, they stayed up all night, went through the morning trying to get this truck ready for today's action. And this thing looks like it's ready to go. A little bit of engine problem earlier during the racing, but it doesn't seem to be holding him back. Still a little bit of smoke coming out of there, but right now the engine is cool, and you'll see that smoke start to pick up as he goes. A little bit of spark out from under that thing already. See that white smoke starting to rear its head. I'm not sure if they have a head gasket going away or not. Hopefully nothing serious on that engine. And Tim Menti gave Tim Mazenis the green light to fly this truck, launch it, roll it over. Just do not blow up my motor. Flying the 68 Ford high in the air at Lake Erie Speedway. Mullet laying down a shot. I don't know if it's going to take the lead right now, but certainly not disappointing. Nice hang time right there. Mazenis, another guy who we've seen here in the past, and I mentioned blown motors the last time we saw him here. He put on about a 7-minute freestyle at the wheel of Jerry Beck's dirt crew and then left the truck on the track with a completely destroyed engine. And he'll wrap it up with the tires smoking donuts, and you can see the mud collected on those tires. It is still a little bit sloppy out there. Tim Mazenis in Hurricane Force doing a nice job at the wheel of that 68 Ford body machine, the Eddie chassis. There he is. Mullen laying it down. Don't think it's going to take the lead, but it should be up there in the
still down there?
upper
Did he kill it?
half of the field.
Oh yeah, that one's gone.
Huge hang time, and again, the suspension on these trucks just leaps and bounds ahead of even where it was 5 years ago. The punishment, they can take a 23, not going to get them into the lead, but an awesome run from Tim Mazenis driving Hurricane Force. The fans, though, ready for their final competitor. This is one the kids love, David Holford out of Staten, Oregon. Had a clean sweep at the wheel of this truck with the Wrecking Machine colors on it last year. This year, carrying the colors for Jurassic Attack. He is ready to go. He'd love to say he took racing and freestyle, and he's about to cut this thing loose. The Marquette Savings Bank sponsored Jurassic Attack. Everything just went quiet on Holford. That is not what he wanted to hear. And he's done a score of 3. Something going away on Jurassic Attack, and that is the surprise ending no one wanted here at Lake Erie Speedway. Toxic 2.0 taking the overall with a score of 52. Nobody can touch him here, as he also picked up our best trick competition victory and made it into the finals through the Tournament of Death. Although he didn't win racing, he did make it into the final 3-wide matchup. That netted him a few more points. So then you see Buckshot, Hurricane Force, Wrecking Machine, Storm Damage, and Jurassic Attack rounding out our field. It's been an amazing weekend of competition here at Lake Erie Speedway. Our thanks to the entire All-Star Monster Truck Tour crew. We'll be doing more with them later this year. Stay with us here at Back Channel Productions. We will see you next time